let's get ready for another Big Four pay-per-view, second biggest show of the entire company, SummerSlam. And it's been underwhelming for the past several years. Decade of mediocrity. Like, we haven't seen anything anticipating for the SummerSlam pay-per-view since, I think, the Nexus versus WWE feud that happened back in 2010. That's 2019, and we get Rollins winning clean. We get Rollins winning clean, folks. Again. And he had a handicap. He had a rib injury that happened 2 weeks ago on Raw. That was a boring promo, vaguely going at, I'm going to beat Brock Lesnar after I got my ass kicked, but we're going to win. I'm going to win for you. And then get his ass beat so bad that he was bleeding from the mouth, coughing up blood, struggling to breathe, got carried by a stretcher, completely F5'd on the stretcher. What are they doing to develop this? Why they had a Raw reunion even though Brock Lesnar was going to do this the next week? And then all that bullshit occurred, and all I'm getting now is just a quick reminder how iffy WWE can be. But we're going to start off on the kickoff because I'm now thinking, like, each time I miss the kickoff, I'm feeling incomplete. There was Loney Walker, Oney Larkin facing off against Drew Gallagher instead of the flippy dippy shit. We had an up to boots, decent technical match with Oney Larkin that I seen a bit that wrestles. He had a decent match. He was a decent technician. I don't think he had good matches until it was like Tony Nese, and he faced him like twice for the cruiserweight title. He used the Cyclone Splash, Cyclone Crash to finish it off, and it was a mad match. Then there was Buddy Murphy having a decent match with Apollo Crews. And it just ended by DQ from Eric Rowan because he snitched and accused Eric Rowan or Daniel Bryan of attacking Roman Reigns for the past 2 weeks. So at least they try to make it story-driven. Too bad they had no other story-driven feud over like a 17 single one-on-one match for every part of the card. That was actually literally going for a storyline. We're going to go over most of my pet peeves of the show. This is just kickoff. Then we have wasted potential in Elias that can literally talk shit. Wrestle. Looks like he can beat some guys up. Literally has the same gimmick of goddamn Jeff Jarrett, but a better build and more charismatic and actually has promo time and is not that annoying. Then he references the Kawhi Leonard signing to the Los Angeles Clippers after he just won the championship for Toronto. And then Edge came out, because Canadian, and he literally had the biggest pop of the show, and it was only kickoff. Only kickoff, by the way. And there was also no Drew McIntyre. No Drew McIntyre. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. My heart's gonna hurt. Whatever. I get that over. They just did that for a cheap pop, and then they went over most of the show. And I think the match opener was Natalya facing off. The rest of the kickoff was the last match was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and they kept feeding them as baby faces. The funniest part was Alexa Bliss trying to literally do the Buzz Lightyear laser beam crap. Then Peyton Royce hit her during the Twisted Bliss. Then there was a distraction. Then Twisted Bliss after Nikki Cross hit her with her little spin neck and breaker finisher for the win. They retain. Even though it was heel versus heel, they keep selling them as baby faces because obviously it's kind of weird whenever you see heel face, and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are more likable, so better than the Iconics. They look like they suck French dick. But other than that, that's kickoff. Let's get into the main show. We started off with a decent submission match. people were trying to write this off as Natalia's like good match. They kept mimicking each other's moves, trying to get the cheap pops. I was just waiting until pop is gonna happen when Natalia hits Becky with the sharpshooter. Came off a decent triangle hold. There was a good turnbuckle submission hold. I think it was a front chin lock or something. It was a good submission hold. It ended off from a disarmer that popped the crowd from a reversal from Becky Lynch. And it was a decent match. Becky won. But shocking to be like your top draw and supposed to be your top star in the company opening the show, even though she's supposed to be the cover wrestler for your game coming out in like a month or two. So, your fault. Then we had Goldberg and Ziggler. You know, Goldberg was in SummerSlam. Goldberg was in SummerSlam. Side story into this, no one gives a fuck. Ziggler wanted to be the same thing like he is heel or face. Be an annoying, whiny bitch, complain about any part of his career that sucks. Then he gets fed by another piece of shit jobber or a top star, gets his ass beat, wins a championship, comes back, quit, finds a pointless time to do fucking stand-up comedy while 69ing Amy Schumer. I don't give a fuck. Or Dana Brooke. I don't care who he's with. This match happened. And it was a glorified squash match. And if somebody's as big as Goldberg, I don't care. You give him a squash match at least near the main event of the show. The WWE champion wasn't even the second last. The WWE championship match wasn't even the second last match of the show. Ziggler talked shit. He got another spear and then a jackhammer. Got speared again after he talked shit again. Then fucking Goldberg wouldn't show up the next next night on Raw. Ziggler didn't even sell the spears he just got. He got speared 3 times and got his ass beat. But oh my god, Ziggler. Oh boy, this was terrible. This was terrible. They just overly accumulative. What was the point of giving him that win on SmackDown if you know he was going to lose? He only mocked Goldberg once, and none of it even pushed his buttons at all. This was no point. Ziggler just feuds with The Miz, even though if they wanted to do a match with The Miz, they could have just did a match at SummerSlam. And if you wanted the Goldberg to face off against Ziggler, why couldn't you have it at Raw? There was no point to have Goldberg at SummerSlam other than we need more butts in the seats and we only have 13 singles matches in the main card. I don't think there was one tag team match the entire show. Or a multi-man match. Or a different stipulation other than a fucking goddamn submission match. That's the only known stipulation I had. That's just a condition that Kevin Owens had to goddamn lose his job if he loses the match. That's a condition. That's not a stipulation. That's not a different other type of match. So that was the second match. 2 big matches that were supposed to get butts in the seats had Ziggler talking shit, and then there was one part of the show where we had poor connection. So SummerSlam buffered a lot until I had to find a different I think we had to change our Wi-Fi and shit. I really thought Ziggler called Goldberg a dipshit, and that would have been the funniest part. And then Xavier Woods literally, they even did an extra video on Xavier Woods looking like Stevie Wonder and hyping up the show. And then there was Drake Maverick, then R-Truth, and R-Truth was there. They were tossing popcorn at Drake Maverick and shit in the kickoff show, and was like, I hate this now. Like, I think like they're overdoing it with the 24/7 championship because obviously you need a constant fan favorite, and R-Truth is there for the little kids because he's exaggerated and he's a stupid black man. That's literally his gimmick. He's a stupid black man that hangs around with a woman that looks like she sucks trailer dick, and now she's just coattailing around, holding the 24/7 title, even though there's plenty of other guys that obviously need more screen time, holding a belt that's supposed to give them more screen time. That's literally the only point why you give him the championship. And the only person being sort of over is Drake Maverick. Thinks he actually has a reason why he wants to win back the 24/7 championship, and nobody else. So that happened. Next up was a decent match. I was a bit upset because it was a alright match. I think they botched like one or two moves. But other than that, this was an alright match with AJ Styles. Ricochet was literally had a Batman attire. And this was alright, I guess. Hurricane Rana kept up around. They were trying to sell the back knee Ricochet. They were actually trying to sell injuries that don't play a factor in the next night on Raw. And it was an alright match. AJ retains. After a Magic Killer got hit and then Styles Clash. I think it was a Styles Clash off a reversal from a Phoenix Splash. And then wins the match. It was a good finish for a decent match. Next up was Bayley versus Ember Moon in an underwhelming match that was supposed to push Ember Moon. And over what I saw, Bayley does not convince me that she's one of the top reasons why women's wrestling should be taken legitimately. No offense, but I don't give a fuck about Bayley. I just want Ember Moon to win because I wanted a woman that actually looks attractive and literally can do an exciting move to hold the championship. And literally at least has a distinct look, other than Bayley still having the same NXT look for the last several years, even though she's been in the main roster since 2016, and Ember Moon at least been here for at least 2 years now. So I don't know who's more compatible to change off losing to a fucking belly-to-belly slam. Not on an object, but literally just on the ring canvas. So it was just hitting her off a Hurricane Rana from the top rope that got a decent pop out of me. Things I didn't suspect him to do that. Then a Bayley to belly through the second turnbuckle to win the match. It was because it's like, how can you convince me? At least at AA from the top, you're literally chucking a man over your shoulder from the top turnbuckle, and you could legitimately finish him off. Not a belly to belly, all because she's a small female. It's really stupid. Then they had Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. That could have been a different stipulation for a match, other than Kevin Owens kicking Shane in the nuts. And this is Shane McMahon, the guy that's notable for doing extreme shit. I understand this man has a family. He has more responsibilities around the business, and he obviously is in his middle age. He's not willing to take those kind of risks like he was back when he was a bit younger, back in the Attitude Era, and of course the Ruthless Aggression days when he's facing off against guys like Kurt Angle, Big Show, Steve Blackman, and Kane. This is not the same Shane McMahon. That's why he's having these these regular matches so many times. And the only match that I seen him do well at was when he was facing off against AJ Styles back at WrestleMania 33 when he did that crazy ass shooting star press, and he made the match semi entertaining. Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon was just super kick, a stunner on fucking Elias. I really hate the stunner. It makes me cringe each time I see any other person do the stunner. And they barely have much of a personality other than Kevin Owens and being a crazy, fat, angry Canadian that's salty in almost every way. And it's just depressing watching him do this match with Shane obviously hitting the elbow drop from the outside. None of that attitude, and Shane never even changed the stipulation of a match on the fly so he can rack more punishment. Especially when he brought Elias to literally help him out in the match. Like, do something. Change something up. Do something. Dude, you should be counting how many one-on-one matches are in the show. They kept doing these stupid flurries punches that Shane kept doing. It was barely. It kept pissing me off because how in the fuck you do this? And Kevin's not like, I'm just gonna hit him with a super kick. Then a pop-up sit-down powerbomb instead of the regular pop-up powerbomb that's literally lifting a guy up and tossing him down with a powerbomb. How is that not more useful in your arsenal to use than a fucking stunner off a distraction, off taking off Elias with a steel chair, kicking Shane in the nuts thanks to a distraction, and kicking and then hitting him with the stunner for the win. Kevin Owens wins for the cheap pot for the Canadian fans, and they were so lucky they have Canadian fans because they're the most retarded, smarky, dumb fans in the world. And I understand they're the biggest in wrestling. They obviously want their guys to succeed, but by God, this was such a matchup for me. I did not care. They had to put something on the line, and this feud only lasted like 4 weeks, like 4 weeks of non-stop jabbling, and no other storytelling. Shane McMahon have completely lost my interest at all. Kevin Owens as a babyface is fucking stupid. It's not working out at all because they turned him babyface, it was short stint babyface, went completely hell after facing off against Kofi Kingston, and then back over to babyface after he was done with Sami Zayn back on Raw. Oh God. Whatever, man. Let's just continue with the rest of the show. Let's just continue with the rest of the show because obviously we're not done. We're not done. We are never done. I want to be done. I want to go to sleep. I want to go home. I want to go home. Whatever. Next up was a pretty average match. It was good to see Stratus in the ring. She looks way better than any other woman in the roster. And that's a lot that I say about most of the alumni. Like my review on the Raw Reunion episode, and this was good. Pulled off a sharpshooter. Obviously, good attempt on the Stratus faction. Sold a lot of good finishes. I really thought Stratus was gonna win, other than the figure eight that I thought she was going to counter, but sadly she tapped. And it ended up with Stratus winning, and she's only 43. It's still a really young age for a human being, obviously not for a wrestler. I wouldn't be suggesting a wrestler is still wrestling in her early 40s. This is just to tell you how well she done for herself and how well she looks. I mean, this was a good match. Charlotte, I don't know how much legitimacy this woman needs because she's a multi-time women's champion. And pinning a woman like Stratus it's a big deal, so I'm gonna give like a point to SummerSlam at least, giving me an average match, a decent pop. Gave Charlotte obviously a tiny bit of relevance. I think she pins a legit Hall of Famer. So, meh. I mean, that's the only Canadian loss tonight. No, Natalia lost. Holy shit, I'm dumb. Oh my god. Next up, of course, we had the illustrious WWE Championship with, of course, likable. Let me be completely fucking honest. I've seen Kofi Kingston since 2009. And not only have I viewed his work, he has impressed me. But by God, he does nothing with the WWE Championship. I've been talking about this for several months now. It's now August, and he still has the WWE title. And he's feuding off with Randy Orton for a petty reason as 10 years ago he called me stupid. You're a stupid Negro for still thinking that you deserve that WWE Championship. It's stupid, really. Whenever you look in the match and it ends off countout in your second biggest pay-per-view of the match, and it's barely even storytelling shifting when you know that they're gonna do this match again come Clash of Champions. And I don't know what the fuck's wrong with Night of Champions, except some stupid idiot told me, oh, it's because they have the WCW license. They bought out WCW 2001 What's the point of using this name now when you guys obviously have your own unique names for pay-per-views? They got rid of Vengeance, Fully Loaded, Unforgiven. I never even heard of Backlash coming back. The last time I seen Backlash was last year. Not much happened on Backlash. Judgment Day is gone. No Way Out is gone. And that wasn't even notable for the Elimination Chamber, you dolts. It was at least a steel cage or Hell in a Cell match. Oh, wow. Vengeance is gone. All pay-per-views that have average meanings. Even No Mercy didn't even return. They changed it for fucking Stomping Grounds. It didn't even have a concept or a theme or a reason to exist. The only reason that they thought it existed, from fans' perspective, was, oh, they were talking about Seth Rollins, obviously. Maybe. What the fuck is a stomping ground? What the fuck is a term for a stomping ground for? The main event was just a mixed tag match. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just a singles match for the main event. It didn't do much. Oh, boy. Oh, man. And then you have Orton versus Kofi. There was decent selling in the match. It ended off double count out after Randy Orton was mocking around with Kofi Kingston and showing his defeated face. Obviously, the fans were chanting bullshit because you don't want your prime baby face. You guys are supposedly trying to push with the WWE Championship, and then he does a dumbass, childish Skittles promotion commercial the next night, and they looking like LSD retarded niggas on the screen. Nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see grown men dressed half naked twerking, and he's holding the same belt that The Rock and Steve Austin and Hogan held. Who the fuck? John Cena has more self-respect for that. And as much as he came from being at least an aggressive, honest rapper that can beat the crap out of you, to a do nothing wrong 16-time champion, do-gooder, piece of shit. At least he has his own personality. At least whenever you're going into the ring with him, you know it's going to be a big match. Not because it's Big Match John, or his wrestling has improved. No, because he's a legit competitor, and he tries hard to sell you on a big pay-per-view match against any guy that he's feuding with. No matter if he shoveled, Rusev, shoveled, goddamn the entire Nexus, Bray Wyatt. At least they were still taken as legitimate threats for John Cena. Some guy that they might not have issues beating, and you've seen over the weeks that these guys are different wrestlers with their own identity. Kofi Kingston is still riding off the coattails of the New Day, and even if, like, later in the year, when they actually think of Kofi Kingston having a legitimate role as a singles competitor for the WWE Championship, and he's trying to get out of the New Day shadow of why he's holding the belt, it'll be too little too late, because he's held this belt since WrestleMania, and still nothing happened. Nobody remembers the first guy he feuded with for the WWE Championship. It was Kevin Owens. Then he feuded with Dolph Ziggler for 2 months. Then Samoa Joe. And not one of them had a character shift. Most of those feuds lasted a month or two. That's a majority of the feud, and most of them didn't even have most of a storyline. And then you had Randy Orton come into the fray for a 10-year feud from a feud 10 years ago. And people are trying to oversell it as this big thing. And Randy Orton already achieved more than him over that stint. And Kofi Kingston's not bringing it up to the fact that he was the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champion in history now. Or at least he's a constant fan favorite. Winning the WWE Champion is the biggest thing that ever happened to you. And not even one thing changed since having it. And then you have your big match with your most prestigious title in the business not even being your main event, not even being your second to last match of the show. It's the third. And then it ends off double count out in a mediocre match. I can barely remember anything, except Kofi bringing out a kendo stick and sort of breaking it. That was pathetic. That was a pathetic finish to Kofi Kingston being a joke of a WWE champion. And then JTG had the goal to bring up, why didn't we have a black WWE champion? Those reasons! Kofi ain't shit! And Lashley keeps getting hurt and kept fed this bullshit. He should have been WWE champion a year ago. But we gave him the Impact, and he obviously has more fond memories there because he actually was treated like a legitimate superstar. And then we had the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, face off against Finn Balor. That's been instantly shoveled since losing the Intercontinental Champion, getting fed to Bray Wyatt than any other superstar. It could have been Dolph Ziggler, but it had been Bray Wyatt. And all we got was nearly the exact same moveset, except he used the Iron Claw to win, and Finn Balor tapped out immediately after struggling to breathe. It was good. He hit him with the Sister Abigail, then the Iron Claw. Finn Balor tried to get some comeback in there with his missile drop kicks, trying to get some counters. It was alright. I thought Bray Wyatt's entrance was interesting. Bringing, it looked like a decapitated head of his previous look because he had dark dreads and now we got him bleached. It was interesting. It was a good, decent debut. Obviously, people were interested, and obviously, people were disappointed when he didn't even show up for the next night on Raw. And then that was it. What an underwhelming return for Bray Wyatt, and you don't even let him have his little high, fucking new character being discussed the next night on Raw. And literally one of the positive things, Bray Wyatt actually had an intimidating look. Looked fiendishly destroyed and defeated the first ever Universal Champion. What's supposed to be a big thing, even though the Universal Championship being a joke since it even been seen in public when it first debuted, is a slap in the face. So hopefully Bray Wyatt's new look actually catches on, and hopefully it gets way better than his first time as a major player in the company. Because the first time started with some highs when feuding with the Shield, and then started with some lows after you first fought John Cena. So yeah, and he was WWE champion. Whoops. Then we had, of course, the Universal Championship. Woo! We had the Universal title. And it was just the same match as what they had at WrestleMania 35, but it actually started officially. There were some fun parts. Brock Lesnar did grab Seth Rollins from the bandages that was protecting his rib cage after what happened 2 weeks ago with F5ing him on the goddamn stretcher, then hitting him numerous times with the steel chair. German suplex, then Rollins came back with some super kicks. He came down, kicking him off the midsection, then super kicked him again. Then 3 curb stomps won the match. And this is the second time. It's obvious that they're trying to Roman Reigns. I've been hearing this a lot. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Trying to push us down this road like he's going to be the next legit star over the past 4 years, like 4 or 5 years. Trying to push Roman Reigns as just a legitimate superstar, replacing John Cena. Ooh. And let me tell you something. I'm not a big fan of either of 3 of these guys. Seth Rollins is a good wrestler. He's an aerial guy. He seems interesting sometimes whenever he's in a spot fest, but other than that, he can barely sell you into a goddamn house show. Roman Reigns has been misdirected for the past 2 years, and fucking John Cena, I never liked him in the first place. And now watching this match just proves how much WWE doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. You thought Roman Reigns was bad? At least they try to treat Roman Reigns as the next big thing. Even though it's been pushed down our throat, at least it was something that we were expecting from WWE. Because obviously Roman Reigns had the look of a top guy. He just didn't have the personality to sell it, or at least a wrestling arsenal that's that interesting. Because the only moves that you can call from Roman Reigns is sometimes his his little plancha from the outside, sometimes his big strikes, and his ways to hype up moves off his uppercuts, clotheslines, his jumping clotheslines, and then a spear and a Superman punch. At least those moves are a bit defined. Rollins has simplified his moveset since being in the top of the card. Super kick, because they always want these Lesnar matches to don't be lengthy and actually sell you into a big fight. It was just the same match that they had on WrestleMania, but this time they actually begun the match when both men were in the ring. Because Lesnar started the match immediately. And then the Lesnar had a Rollins now has a disadvantage with injured rib cage. And then he wins clean off just a few super kicks and curb stomps. What story we're trying to tell here after the last 2 weeks of actually having a legitimate reason to feud? After Rollins just won a fucking battle royal, and then somehow he just faces off against Lesnar in not even peak condition, and just wins. Not from any mistake from Paul Heyman. Not from any underhanded tactics. Clean. No weapon. Legit off like 7 super kicks. A few reversals off German suplexes, F5, near falls, super kicks again, and then like 3-4 curb stomps to win the match. Who the fuck is going to pay money to actually remember matches like that? I'm not gonna always go blast to the past, but just from a logical standpoint. Sometimes you build a bit up, you build a bit higher, and then we get into a grand finale that you guys can get a bit of your shit in, that you guys want to hype up the crowd. Rollins just goes from Rollins and Lesnar was like bang, 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 super kick, super kick, super kick. It's literally just a kid trying to play with action figures and try to see what can be a cooler situation for Rollins to get out of Lesnar's maneuvers. And it was just a generic finish off because obviously we're not going to wait till like the Royal Rumble again for Lesnar to hold the Universal Championship. And obviously they're trying to plan something thinks King of the Ring is coming back. But I'm not going to play much into it. SummerSlam got a 4 out of 10 for me. I did not care. The Bray Wyatt's return was alright. I didn't mind his squash match. Trish Stratus and Charlotte had a pretty decent match. Ricochet and AJ Styles was a pretty watchable, good finale for a matchup. And obviously they're trying to do more stuff for Ricochet up and coming King of the Ring. It's also, if you want the guys that want to look it up, it's on the official website who is going to be participating, or the YouTube video, whatever you guys want to do. Look it up. Hopefully you guys are ready for the King of the Ring tournament to come back. I am, because I'm a big fan of tournaments and wrestling and any other mediums like anime, sports, just anything else to hype me up other than fight. Fight for this. You win a number 1 contenders out of nowhere. We just fight because I don't like you. Just a legit tournament. There was too many singles matches. None of the matches made complete sense. You had your world title match end by double count out. Your 2 women's matches barely even sold us to the bit. Your kickoff match was too fucking long. 2 hours for a kickoff. For only 4 matches and extra commentary for no damn reason. The 24/7 championship didn't get a match. Fucking Drew McIntyre, after having a good match on Raw, a great match against a guy shorter than him, and he wasn't even sold up to at least appear in Shane McMahon's corner after the Kevin Owens match. WWE doesn't know what you're doing, and it proves. As much as you guys want to build up a few positives over the match, you can talk about how perfect the entrance and the look of Bray Wyatt was, and his little squash match with Finn Balor, and Trish Stratus returned doing what she can. That looks like she barely aged a bit and performed pretty crisp against a woman of Charlotte's caliber. Because even though how much of a she-male she looks, she's still a decent competitor and still one of the better female wrestlers in the roster. And how mediocre Kofi Kingston is, and how mediocre Seth Rollins is. This gets a 4 out of 10, flat out. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my little complaints or video review, because that's literally my take on a nearly 7 hour, like a nearly 5 hour product. This was a really pathetic show. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed going to Toronto, Canada to see a big pay-per-view like SummerSlam. Thank you for watching. I'll try to get videos down below if you guys miss out on any of my content. Thank you for watching. That will be all for me.